Jake, so I just had this weird thought.
Have you ever felt numb even when nothing's really wrong? Or wanted to feel anything, even sadness, just to know you're still in there?
Betty, my princess, maybe you will love me again.
Or felt homesick, even while sitting in your own room? Beneath the vibrant colors and endless adventures in the land of ooh, deeper truths linger, pain behind smiles, loneliness behind laughter, sadness behind strength. Because even in a world of candy kingdoms and singing vampires, some struggles run deeper than anyone knows. Adventure Time has stayed close to our hearts because it isn't just quirky, it's honest. It sneaks in big, heavy truths behind small, silly moments. And one of the most powerful truths it tackles that's dear to me in both Adventure Time and its spin-off, Fiona and Cake, is depression. There's a line I've come across that captures it perfectly. Depression feels like badly wanting to go home, even when you are already there. Many of us feel this way, invisibly, with no words for it. And that's why we're making this video. So before we dive in, consider subscribing. It really helps us keep going and share more stories that matter.
Okay.
In Ooh, depression doesn't announce itself clearly. Instead, it wears masks. Simon Petrikov falls under the crown's madness, forgetting the life and love he's lost. Marceline strums her bass softly, her songs quietly echoing feelings of abandonment she rarely admits. Finn pushes forward with brave smiles, burying anxiety and hurt until it quietly breaks through. Even Prismo and Fiona wrestle with purpose and numbness, searching for meaning in worlds where it's easy to feel lost. Depression here isn't loud. Well, it never is, until it takes hold of everything. It surfaces in small gestures and aches beneath cheerful faces. It's loneliness in the middle of friends. It's feeling detached, even when everything seems fine. It's the ache of wanting to feel anything, just to know you're still real. Adventure Time reminds us, depression doesn't always look like sadness. They wait under the surface until someone finally sees them. By looking at these stories, we understand our own just a little more, and maybe feel a bit less alone in the process. So stick around as we explore the different shades of depression in the characters we love. Chances are, you'll see something familiar, and maybe the best place to start is with the character we used to laugh at.
Shoka, shoka, shoka.
Ice King wasn't always the Ice King. Once he had clarity, memories, and love. He had a life. He was Simon Petrikov. But piece by piece, the crown took that from him. In I Remember You, Simon struggles to hold on to fading memories while singing with Marceline.
I'm so alone. Love me, love me.
Lyrics filled with longing, confusion, and loss. The crown isn't just magical. It's a symbol of sorrow, detachment, and losing oneself to something beyond control. And as that crown grasps his head, watching Simon slip further from who he once was aligns closely as a symbol of a type of depression called melancholic depression. Not literally in this case, but as a physical and visual metaphor for what it feels like. A heavy, persistent sadness that doesn't lift, even when life appears fine until it changes you, and you don't remember who you used to be. Simon embodies this vividly. He searches endlessly for connection, yet remains trapped inside a mind he no longer recognizes. He wants to go home, but no longer remembers where home is. And the cursed crown pushes him further. It warps his thoughts, scrambles his memory, and pulls him from reality. Symbolic hallmarks of something darker, psychotic depression. In Simon and Marcy, we see this unraveling in real time. As Simon tries to protect young Marceline, his grip on reality loosens. Paranoia sets in. His mind becomes a battlefield between who he was and who the crown is forcing him to become. The thought of losing himself was unbearable, but the thought of hurting those he cares for was even greater. With that, he chose to abandon little Marceline.
Simon! Simon!
It's messed up, I know. That's not just heartbreak, that's resignation. A surrender so complete it blurs the line between love and despair. Because depression can feel like that, like slowly losing your sense of self, not knowing where your personality ends and the pain begins. The crown doesn't just change Simon's actions, it rewrites his identity until even he can't remember who he is.
What, man?
Most of us laughed at Ice King until we understood, until we learned who he used to be. Adventure Time uses Simon's story to remind us that depression doesn't always wear a sad face. It can hide behind eccentricity. And sometimes, the people we find annoying or strange are simply carrying a pain they can't explain. Simon's journey teaches us that the hardest battles often happen in places no one sees, and those who seem the most lost might once have loved the most deeply. But Simon's story doesn't end in isolation. There's one person who remembers exactly who he used to be, someone who's been carrying her own grief for centuries, Marceline.
Simon!
What, man?
Marceline is powerful. She's sharp, funny, immortal, a vampire queen with the cool of a rock star and the bite of someone who's seen too much. But beneath the sarcasm and music, there's an ache that lingers. A kind of heaviness she's been carrying for a very long time. A typical depression hides behind masks. It looks like success, confidence, even laughter, until you're alone. And that's when it speaks the loudest. We first see it in Simon and Marcy. Marceline was just a child in a world that had ended, trailing behind Simon as he tried to hold things together. He kept her safe, fed her soup, carried her through broken cities, and slowly, heartbreakingly, she lost him. Not to death, but to something worse. Madness, confusion, forgetting. Watching Simon slip wasn't one big loss. It was thousands of small ones. Each memory forgotten was another thread snapped. That kind of abandonment doesn't go away. It just changes shape. And Marceline, despite all her power, never stopped being that little girl trying to hold on to someone who kept disappearing. This isn't grief you outgrow. It's grief that grows with you. It shapes you. Years later in I Remember You, when Ice King visits her without remembering who she is, she plays music with him, trying to reach Simon through the fog. It's not just a duet, it's a plea. Her voice carries more than melody. It carries years of abandonment, disappointment, and a hope that maybe, just maybe, he'll remember her. This is the undercurrent of chronic loneliness. Not just being alone, but feeling unseen in the presence of others. Wanting to be known by someone, anyone, and realizing no one sees the version of you that you still miss. It hums under her breath, beneath the chords of her bass, in the spaces between conversations. Later, in Season 7 in her miniseries, we see her reconnect with Princess Bubblegum, and for once, drop the walls to everyone during that whole return of the vampire mess. She admits what's been bothering her, not with a dramatic breakdown, but with a simple truth. She feels left behind. And that's what depression often sounds like. Not, I'm broken, but I feel like I don't matter anymore. Marceline's pain doesn't come from one loss. It comes from years of quiet ones. From people fading out of her life, from outliving those she once loved, from having no one left who remembers who she used to be. She may joke, she may sing, but the truth is, Marceline carries the weight of isolation. And through her, Adventure Time shows us a side of depression we don't talk about enough. How it builds, slowly, in the gaps between connections. And how music, friendship, and memory can be attempts, not to erase the loneliness, but to hold it, name it, and maybe feel a little less alone in it. But what if you don't even have the words for that kind of pain yet? What if you're still figuring out who you are, while everything around you keeps falling apart? That's where Finn's story comes in. Finn is supposed to be the hero. He's the one who charges headfirst into danger, who laughs the loudest and gets back up the fastest. But as the seasons unfold, something begins to shift. The spark in him dims, not all at once, but gradually, like sails losing the wind's favor. And when the hero drifts, who is he to be? After losing his arm, getting his heart broken, and being let down by his father, he loses his grasp on his own identity, and Finn doesn't bounce back as fast as we thought he would. In episodes like Breezy, he tries. He distracts himself with flings, jokes, distractions. He says he's fine. But there's a moment where even he seems unsure who he's trying to convince. Himself or everyone else? This is what situational depression can look like. It doesn't always appear in a dramatic breakdown. Sometimes it's restlessness or emotional fog that mixes with dread and often without a clear reason. It's a slow detachment from the things that used to matter. Finn goes through the motions, quests, parties, adventures, but you can see it in the way he behaves. He's not really there. Later, in the Hall of Egress, we watch Finn walk through endless versions of reality, each one collapsing the moment he gets too close to the truth. He's stuck in a loop, searching, stumbling, resetting, trying to understand something that won't explain itself. But here's the thing. He doesn't give up. He keeps going forward, even when he doesn't know where it leads, and through every failed attempt.
Egress! Egress! Egress!
And when he finally breaks free, it's not with a dramatic speech. It's not in the way he was used to that was brute force. It's with a quiet breath, eyes closed, and the choice to try again even if he didn't know it would work this time. Finn's depression isn't defined by hopelessness. It's defined by confusion, exhaustion, and the fear that maybe who you were isn't coming back. But in that same breath, he shows us something powerful. Healing comes at the right time. Sometimes it's just choosing to keep walking, even when you don't know if the exit is real. But what if you wake up and everything feels fine, but none of it feels real? That's where we enter a different kind of struggle, the loss of meaning itself. Not all depression feels the same. Some of it isn't about sadness or heartbreak or loss. Sometimes it's the quiet terror of meaninglessness, the question that creeps in when things should be fine, but nothing feels real. That's existential depression. And Adventure Time captures it in ways that feel strangely personal. Start with Prismo. He's literally a wish-granting god living in a cosmic time chamber. He has infinite power, eternal life, and endless awareness of every possibility. And yet with all his power, he's unable to bring back the only one he considered his best friend, Jake. His world becomes empty. His routine becomes excruciatingly predictable. He jokes, he entertains himself. But the cracks are there. Prismo isn't overwhelmed with emotions. He's underwhelmed by everything. That's what existential depression looks like. Not being sad, but being numb to the point where even immortality feels like a trap. And there's Fiona, in Fiona and Cake. As you know, Fiona's world became painfully ordinary, stripped of the fantasy she dreams of. She wakes up, goes to work, in literally a gray, lackluster world with cracks and glitches, which we later know is because her universe lives in Simon's mind. And she doesn't understand why it hurts so much.
It should be more magical.
Her life isn't bad, it just doesn't mean anything. She misses something she can't even name. This is existential grief, the ache for a version of yourself that doesn't exist anymore. The strange, hollow feeling that your story stopped being yours somewhere along the way. She doesn't want drama. She just wants her life to feel real again. And then there's the Lich, Adventure Time's most terrifying villain. You'd expect rage, destruction, evil, but when he finally gets what he wants, when all life is gone, he doesn't laugh. He becomes frozen and lost. When Simon meets the Lich in the Fiona and Cake finale, he finds someone who isn't angry anymore, just tired. The Lich wanted the end of everything, but even that didn't fill the void. In his final moments, he turns to question Golb in agony, because even his purpose to obliterate all life didn't satisfy him. It was empty, and chillingly familiar to anyone who's ever thought,
What's the point?
just like Simon did feel at his life after Betty. Existential depression doesn't always look as dramatic as crying in the rain. Sometimes it's a wish god lying unkempt, a girl in a normal city who misses magic, a villain staring into the void, only to find it staring back. Adventure Time never diagnoses its characters. It doesn't tell you this is depression or this is trauma. Instead, it shows people, humans, vampires, candy monarchs, and time gods, trying to keep going when things feel heavy, confusing, or numb. These stories remind us that even in a universe full of wonders, the question of why we're here can still haunt us. Though it may not come to you quickly, just asking the question is the beginning of finding the answer. Simon shows us what it's like to forget who you were, not out of choice, but because your own mind won't let you go back. Marceline reminds us how abandonment can linger for years, quietly shaping how we connect or don't connect with others. Finn teaches us that even the brave feel lost sometimes, and that trying to feel nothing is often just a way of avoiding everything. These aren't just fantasy stories. They reflect things we've felt, or maybe still feel now, and that's the real magic of Adventure Time. The biggest takeaway from Adventure Time might be this: you are not alone. Not in your confusion, not in your numbness, not in your search for meaning. We're all just trying to get home, even if we don't know what home means yet. If any part of this video resonated with you, if you've ever felt numb, lost, or tired, you're not alone. Let us know in the comments what Adventure Time moment hit you hardest. And if you want to keep exploring the deepest corners of your favorite stories, don't forget to subscribe, because sometimes the best way to understand ourselves is through the characters we didn't expect to relate to. See you in the next one, adventurer!